There's limitations on all of our gear, regardless of what it is. It can and it eventually will break down. But there's a lot of things you can do to kind of safeguard your gear and to extend the life of your gear. Recently, I was in a backpack just checking out a few things, and I found one of my fire steels. This is a Coghlan's fire steel you see on the screen. And it started to like dissolve. I guess this is what it looks like when a fire steel starts to rust. I'm not for sure if this is what's going on. If you do know what's going on, or if you can look at this and kind of identify it, let me know. But I do believe because there was a little bit of moisture in the bag, maybe that moisture affected this this fire steel and started to rust, and it basically was enough to dissolve the portion right under the handle. And the fire steel itself is still in working condition. I was able to make a few campfires with it just to see if the fire steel, what was left of it at least, was still durable. You know, if it was going to actually hold up. Was it going to chip out, or was it going to just fall apart? And it didn't fall apart. It was okay. It was just that one section of the rod, if you will, that just dissolved. Or maybe it's just rusted. But it's kind of something that took me by shock, really, because not only has this never happened to me, but I've always been told, you know, that, oh, yeah, you know, fire steels are the most robust, and if you only had to pick one fire starter, it would have to be a fire steel. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, that's not true to a large degree. It's a good choice. But there is a reason why you'd have other types of fire starters. You know, matches and lighters are just a proven way to get a fire started. So if you have environmental situations, you know, that break down or destroy one of your options to make fire, then if you have a different type of fire starter, it may not be affected by the same issues. And that's the whole reason why people basically have multiple ways. You know, a lot of people go by the rules of threes, you know, having three different types of certain, you know, critical pieces of gear, you know, and they layer it on their body. They may have like one around their neck, one in their pocket, and one in their backpack. And so if they were separated by, you know, various reasons from certain, you know, articles of clothing or a backpack, they would probably still have one on their person or have access to something that they need. And so, yeah, that's all I wanted to say in this video, was basically that we have to be mindful that having different types of gear to do the same job is important when you're talking about redundancy in survival kits. And, you know, even a fire steel, you know, is not invincible. It can rust, and it can also completely burn up if you drop it in a campfire. I've seen that happen myself. So while they're very robust in a lot of other ways, moisture and high heat can destroy these items. And so just be, you know, mindful, be careful, you know, as much as you can. And luckily, you know, I have a lot of fire steels to replace this fire steel. But it is a little upsetting, though, when you check your bag out and you expect everything to be okay and you find something damaged and you're like, wow, what is going on? But, you know, these things happen. And this is just another reason why you'd want to check your gear on a regular basis to try to mitigate any type of damage from getting worse. You know, luckily, there wasn't that much other problems in the bag. You know, I had some clothing that was a little damp, and I had a couple of rust spots on a handsaw, which I was able to buff out. But other than that, though, not much other problems. And so if you check your gear on a regular basis, you really do minimize the potential for a lot of damage.